One kind of metaphor that I've used before that I think is a great one is, talking about why it's important to have psychedelic harm reduction is really to just be able to provide participants with the best ability to make an informed decision about whether they should participate in one of our studies or in a psychedelic experience that they might be considering outside of research in any way. It's good to provide them information about the risks. I think a lot of people are very familiar with the benefits of psychedelics and what they can offer, but not too many folks might be as familiarized with the risks. There's a lot of potential contraindications for people based on their medical history or their psychiatric history that could put them in danger if they were to use a substance like a psychedelic that could potentially cause them harm. So kind of knowing not just that they're okay medically stable, but they're also psychologically stable and able to participate or be suitable for this type of an experience is really important. So I think that's information that a lot of people just need to have when they're considering using a psychedelic, but also for anybody who's going to provide support or help in that decision-making process. The more informed that practitioners are or anybody working with psychedelics are, they can help to try to prevent people from being harmed or being at risk in a medical way or otherwise, psychological way, psychiatric way. Okay, and then going back, I kind of went off track. So one of the metaphors that I often like to use is just like, if you're going to pursue this type of an experience, you can compare it to like planting a garden. So you need to sort of do the preparation work. That might mean tilling the ground, making sure that the soil is right, making sure there's enough sun, enough water, just getting all of the like ingredients for something ripe to grow. So it's the same idea with like preparing for a psychedelic experience, making sure that a participant has good support in their life, that their home circumstances are a safe space for them, that they have like good folks in their lives that they can reach out to or lean on in those times when they might need additional support in their community. And also just kind of making sure that a person feels ready, that they're not just kind of making this decision out of a last-ditch effort because nothing else has worked and they're desperate. That can sometimes be the worst way to make a decision like this if you're not truly ready. And then adequately preparing for an experience like this is really important for having a good positive outcome later. So just like, preparing that garden, making sure all the ingredients are there for something to grow is important. It's the same way with preparing for this type of an experience. It's a deeper, more emotional type of work that a person will be doing. So they need to have space in their life to be able to kind of accommodate that vulnerability that they're going to experience, having maybe more heightened emotional experience. So it's just a vital piece to be able to get yourself into a good mindset to where you feel like you're ready and open to doing some deeper kind of exploratory work. And then in terms of just like the actual experience itself, you can think of planting seeds, setting intentions is like planting seeds in that garden. These are the things that you would like to happen. If you're looking for a change in your life, what might that look like? So having a vision of here's how I would prefer my life to look. Here's how I see myself if I weren't, fill in the blank. So those intention settings are like planting those seeds for the future. And then the integration work is really just all about tending it, watering things, making sure there's enough light, offering that plant food so that things can grow, and just continuing to make sure that they're taken care of and moving forward. And that looks like, applying the experience to one's life in a meaningful way, taking some action steps towards a life that looks like the way that they've envisioned it. How does one go about doing those things? If there's been a shift in perspective about like how one views, if say it's depression, why they're depressed, how their life has kind of set the stage for depression, and how they might like change that setting entirely. What does that mean? How does one like go about living differently. It might not be necessarily without depression, but it might just be like holding depression and also pursuing one's goals and like aspirations and just feeling more empowered to do so rather than maybe feeling powerless before to do anything because of the depression. When I think about a good example, recently there was a young man that he very much was so depressed that he couldn't get out of bed. I mean, he was just crippled with depression, essentially, unable to work, unable to pursue his passions, didn't have relationships, just everything had basically come to a complete standstill in his life. And after the kind of psychedelic experience and working through some things, setting intentions, and then, doing the integration work, the experience itself kind of showed him essentially that he is somebody who has in his mind, he feels wired for depression. Like it's a part of his personality. It's a part of who he is. And his kind of aha moment or insight that he got from that was that he can have depression. It's a facet of the human condition. And he can also choose to do the things that he wants to do in his life in a meaningful way. So it doesn't have to be a crippling experience to hold depression anymore. And then really we kind of looked at the future like in the same way we look at the psychedelic experience. So everyday life, you kind of set intentions around the things you want to do, and then you treat those experiences like the psychedelic dosing experience. So say you're setting an intention like, I want to work out. It could be as simple as that. Then you sort of set intentions before the working out. Then you treat the working out experience as the dosing itself, like you're in the moment, you're experiencing the working out, the exercising. And then afterward, you kind of have the same sort of integration around it. Like, what was that like? Did I achieve what I was hoping for in terms of my intentions around exercise? How do I feel now? Just reflecting on it. All of these activities that are part of a whole like prep and dosing and integration is actually a really good model for how we can live in a more mindful, like present way and kind of really just enjoy or be very engaged with like all of our activities and just kind of trusting ourselves that we have what it takes to do it, whether we decide it's done well or done poorly or whatever, that's all in the mind. So it's really just kind of being able to say, okay, I'm just going to do the things I want to do and do them with presence and mindfulness. And I think that's really what this offers. Psychedelic experiences kind of give you that like presence of being there with yourself and accepting yourself and just accepting the outcome, whatever it might be. I think one of the coolest things that separates this type of work from like traditional therapy is really that the participant or the client is like in charge of how this is going to unfold. And anybody who's like providing support in these type of experiences is really not a guide the way that like it's been talked about in I think a lot of psychedelic realms, but more that they're like a co-pilot in a sense and helping the person figure out how best to go down their own path, not trying to guide them down a path, really. It's just teaching them that like they have the ability to walk and showing them that walking is making the path itself. So they can trust themselves that they know what they're doing and kind of get reconnected to that intuition and like inner healer. They can trust themselves that they have the capacity to be able to like live with the things that are hard and move forward into their life and do the things that are important to them. I really like that about this work is it's just that you can completely trust that the person you're working with has it inside of themselves. You just have to help them reconnect to that within themselves rather than like add something to them that they don't already have, essentially.